arse-kicking puppetry, ding-dongs, and the radical farming of art. ArtFarm, based in Middletown, and Bread and Puppet, iconic Vermont theater, were offered an exchange grant, an artistic exchange grant through the network of ensemble theaters. We have history together in that the executive director and co-founder of ArtFarm first started going up to see the work of Bread and Puppet back in the late 70s, and then in the mid 80s actually worked with them for a period of time, and then we've really just been appreciators and been really influenced. Our work, my work, and Dick Wheeler, the executive director of ArtFarm, our work has been informed by Bread and Puppet's work. It's been very exciting to be able to embark on this artistic exchange, which is really an exchange of strategies and ideas for devising and creating original work, issue-based original work, and the different strategies that both companies use, the similarities and commonplace things, and then the ways in which we differ.
We're Jane Doe, we crossed the line, got pepper sprayed, and now we're in cell 13 solidarity. It's working. Have you ever?
And the network of ensemble theaters has been really great in supporting that kind of exchange, which I think is unusual at this point, to really find a way to bring companies together so that we can grow as a field. So we did, ArtFarm went to Vermont in September, some of the ArtFarm ensemble, and there we really immersed in their artistic life, but also in their residential life, and in some ways in their economic life. They have a print shop there, and we worked in the print shop. We cooked in the kitchen with them. We observed some of the rehearsing that they were doing for other pieces, and then we worked in the studio together. They shared with us some different strategies that they use for creating work when they go into communities, and we shared with them some of the strategies that we use. And then again, when the puppeteers came to ArtFarm down in Connecticut, again, we ate together and we planned together, and we tried to figure out how were we going to incorporate strategies from both companies and implement a community workshop. And that was really great, because we both we're both very movement oriented. I think we both are very physical companies. So that was a great starting point. The way that ArtFarm works, the way that I work when I go into communities, and community can be a school, community can be a group of people that come to a workshop of adults. It can be an academic situation. It can be an arts environment. I tend to brainstorm and identify, help the group to self-identify the issues that matter to them, and then hone it down to the ones that the most people feel passionately about. Then assign a certain number of elements that then they need to take to create a piece. And those are topic. They need to have some kind of movement that is not pedestrian movement. They can move any way they want, but there must be something that is not normal pedestrian movement. They have to have sound that's not text, meaning that can be vocal and or other, so instrumental or pounding on the ground, whatever it is, some inclusion of sound. They need to include some text, so some words. They need to include a prop, and they need to include repetition. Those, and sometimes I'll change or add elements, but that is the basic structure that I used certainly with Bread and Puppet and with the workshop participants, and something that I'll do again, because the folks are self-identifying the issues that matter to them, and then I'm giving them just some places to hang their hat, things to utilize, and it's amazing what people come up with. All of these different ways of communicating and expressing ideas, but with those little elements, suddenly you have dynamic.
Hey, Miss Tree, this is gonna hurt you more than it hurts me.
There's a lot to be said, and there are a lot of people who have something to say. and I feel like, particularly when working in community, theater, I think, is a great forum for finding ways to get your ideas out there, to get your feelings out there, and it really comes.
In the time of excellent economic shrinkage.
Excellent economic shrinkage!
So we did something called push sticks. In push sticks, in pairs, people balance 2 sticks between their pointer fingers and discover movement patterns working throughout the space. And there's the Lubberland Dance. Lubberland Dance Company is one of the things that Bread and Puppet has. And Lubberland Dance, again, you sort of like flocking, you initially are following the movement of one person, and then while still following, that breaks off into smaller groups of following, and it creates an interesting movement dynamic. So we do Grotowski-based movement improvisation, and it begins with following, but it explodes into varied solo, small and large group movement and internal story discovery, inspired by music, props and architecture, both human and other. So again, we're moving in the space, there are musicians playing, and the tempo changes, the qualities of movement, the emotional qualities shift, and the movers are inspired by the musicians are inspired by the movers, and as we're working, props are integrated. In the Daffodil Attack Force, where a group identifies a large local oppressive force or troublemaker that the little people with the daffodils are going to be challenged by, and ultimately defeat, using flags and creating choreography. With large-scale puppets, the puppet is built and a body or bodies insert themselves into the structure. In most 2-person animal puppets, the people's legs are the legs, and the front person's arms hold up the head, while the back person may hold the waist of the front person. Or sometimes the back person holds an internal structure based at the middle of the puppet. Movement emulates that of the animal. Cantastoria is a picture story recitation where a performer tells or sings a story while gesturing to a series of images. This is an old style of working that has, been used and comes from all over the world. The images can be painted, printed, or drawn on any sort of material. Cantastoria often includes 1 or sometimes 2 narrators and a chorus. In situations with restricted expressive opportunities like the Occupy movement, if this is done on sheets without dowels or sticks, which are often used to hold things up, but if it's used without dowels or sticks, it can easily be transported and stowed.
Over-electricity consume minimalists.
Anti-over-electricity consume minimal.
We had students from both the local community college as well as a private university, Wesleyan University. We had professors from those places. We have circus performers. We have, folks who just have regular day jobs and are interested. People of varied ages, and then inviting audience in on top of that. I think one of the things that also was nice to be able to, in terms of thinking about if someone were structuring something like this, we did do things like go out and buy apple cider and heat it and bring a volunteer in to help coordinate that. Bread and Puppets, also known for their bread and aioli. And aioli is a garlic and parsley and olive oil topping that they put on this very hearty rye bread that Peter Schumann bakes. And so it felt important to us to be able to share with the workshop participants, but also the audience, a little bit of nourishment. And that's, I guess, again, when you ask why share with the community, as the Bread and Puppet Cheap Art Manifesto says, is you can't eat art, but it feeds you. And it's important. I think we need, as human beings and as community, we need to be nourished. We need to be taken care of in this age of technology, which has its great gifts. We are still human beings in development, and it's important that we take care of ourselves and we take care of each other.